So, hi, very warm greetings to the people who are watching the DebConf right now. So, myself, Rajasekhar here. The BOF speaker, which is virtualization, containerization versus virtualization. Um, so, myself, I am a cloud administrator in a media organization called a NewsClick, and I've been contributing to Debian since like 6 years. Been doing packaging work and uh, the localization works, organizing camps, etc. So so right now we have other speakers: Sathish, Harisai, Pujita, Ranjit, Ushashmi, and all. Maybe uh, maybe Sathish, you want to introduce? Go ahead. Uh,
Hey, hello all. Warm wishes to everyone who joined the conference. I'm Satish. I'm an undergraduate student and also a volunteer at Svecha. We at Svecha we call ourselves hacktivists. We support open source projects. We contribute to these projects and conduct sessions and workshops to educate fellow students like me about open source. So today we are going to talk about containerization and virtualization along with system administration tools.
nice, that's a good introduction. And Hari and Ravli, you want to give it just an intro on yourself? Okay, fine. So here with us is Ravli. She's a WordPress developer with me. She as a working in the FSMI developing add-ons and all. And Harisai is also lead Python project lead uh, in Canny Technologies. Yeah. So I think we're done introducing yourself. Then most of the maybe you can get in the about the chat. Yeah, we just went through this finance of time. So let me introduce this topic in this panel discussion. Uh, I think we all know that when computers have evolved. We used to install applications. We used to run software. We used to build software. And after that, over a period of time, utilizing so much of resources, we have reduced that resources into single compact form. Uh, then we started using operating systems, and within that, we started using this. So, for example, we want to use an operating system within an operating system. This is where this VirtualBox comes in. And next, and the next part is container. You know, within this VirtualBox, maybe we can't interoperate between the different virtual boxes, and there's also issues resource optimization. And then we move to containers, uh, which is what we call uh, which is called application interoperability, or maybe cloud native application development. Uh, and later on, that gives the container orchestration Kubernetes. Then and then we've evolved with the application uh, uh, within the managing application within the cluster, and then there's so much of application development evolved. So so I want to discuss with all of people here. Let's discuss on this. uh, how do we transform, or how do we evolve from this uh, normal normal infrastructure to the virtual boxes? So maybe Satish, you want to go ahead? Satish or Bobby, Bhavati or Ravali, whoever wants to go ahead. Maybe you can switch on the videos and you can go ahead. Satish, can you go ahead? Um, am I audible? Sahil, can you confirm? Am I audible?
Yeah, to continue with what Raja said, virtualization is not some new technology which started these days. It's been there from 1960s. So during the time of mainframe technologies, people wanted to separate the power of the mainframe technology to more than one user. So virtualization started that way. So in those days, it was like dividing the power of one physical server to more than one people, and the technology continued to improve. And with the introduction of C groups in 2008, so individual programs were able to be separated with their resources and memory usage. So which continually grew up, and now we have Oracle VirtualBox, kernel virtual machine, where we can run a completely different operating system in our physical computer.
Yeah, I mean, the usual answer shifted to the virtual box, but that's been changing. Earlier, we used to, for example, let's take a simple web application. To develop a web application, we used to put up a some VM virtual box, and then we used to install an operating system, and then we need to go for what we call this. We have to build the host computer network, and then we access the web application, right? So what do you think? Developing that application, is that is it resource heavy, or is that ease of doing what work? What do you think? I think that I think that's a resource heavy operation that we used to build when we develop applications.
Yeah, manually maintaining all those and completely doing it by humans may it may cause errors and other problems, and it is difficult to actually do that completely on our own.
Okay, but maybe I think let's give it some further. Ravli, what do you think of this Bhavati? Satya is there. Who needs join? Yeah. Hello. Ma'am, is there any problem? I don't know. Okay. So, maintaining one application within the, using this virtual box, yeah, then we need to, for example, I want to do with an application with multiple virtual boxes. Then that is very Correct method. Meanwhile, Satish, continue.
Yeah, using VirtualBox and creating separate operating systems and running those applications is actually resource heavy. I mean, we cannot uh, we cannot be able to run more than a single virtual virtual server or virtual system. I mean, even though using VirtualBox, we can create multiple systems, but an average computer would not be able to run more than two virtual machines at one time. So even though they support, but we couldn't actually be able to run all those at once because the resource utilization would be so heavy because it is a complete operating system running on top of physical system, and you will have your host operating system, and on top of the host operating system you are running a software application which runs other operating systems. So this as a whole puts a lot of weight on the operating system. Okay. Using a virtualization has its benefits and these problems also involved. Virtual machines, even though they run independently, but they all share the same resources.
Hi, hi, Paul.
Yes, I just want to let you know. I'm going to participate, but not going to dominate. I just want to let you know on the streams, your volume is really quiet, even on full volume. Can you please adjust the volume so the stream so it's not as quiet on the streams?
Okay, I think it's fine now, or
Okay,
still
perfect.
okay. Thanks. So yeah, and we were just discussing about this arrow of virtual boxes. So there is this Sathish has pointed that there is also a heavy constraint when we maintain more number of virtual boxes. But I mean, the software production has gone improving. The Debian, uh, uh, the Debian environment, providing a scope for improvement in this all the free software production. Uh, Now there is this containerization award, right? What do you think, Hari, or Sonal?
Sorry, there was a bit break. Um, yeah,
I mean, we were just discussing this transformation of this virtual boxes to this container. What are why we're going for the containers?
oh yeah. So containerization got a lot of advantage in the current trends. So even in the which I would say it is a very good achievement of free and open source communities over here of pushing the production entire production levels to the containerization. It also helped in reusability of a lot of content or a lot of libraries. Let's say if you are, for example, if you are using a Docker instance and if you are trying to deploy anything in a containerization setup, so we need not to install any other operating system, or we need not to install any package dependencies or any libraries. So we are using right now.
Hey, hi, Harisa. Your voice is like quite low.
Oh,
Could you please adjust your mic?
is it fine now?
No, it's still low.
Oh, okay. How about now?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Much better.
Okay, where did I stop? Okay, so yeah, what I was telling that containerization brought a lot of reusable concepts, a lot of reusability in the current production, like in the current industries or production in the current trend. So yeah, also containerization brought a new phase shift over here in terms of it made DevOps easy, and also uh, it brought what new phases inside the current production levels. Yeah, that's my point. I would like to hear from others also.
And Satish, you want to go ahead?
Yeah. Is my audio clear?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. The thing which I'm very comfortable with containerization is we find ready Docker images and can manipulate the Docker files very quite easily rather than installing separate operating system like in virtualization, which requires dedicated RAM and dedicated storages, and also the UI part, which we generally don't prefer to use uh, in production. So this is how containerization helps me in our daily work life. Just writing a script down, mapping all the paths, writing the shell scripts and all, running the Docker file itself gets the work done. No, I mean, and we, as a Linux user and a Debian user, we don't need to add any other operating system on top of it, and also it uses the base operating system, and it starts from very quite less memory, like the Alpine images and all. Thank you.
Yeah, I think Paul wants to speak. Yeah, Paul, go ahead.
So regarding containers, containerization is more lightweight and has less overhead and system um, latency due to it being a just a file system and a container, but with no operating doesn't have like an operating system or like a kernel to work with, which makes more sense because virtualization is essentially just running another machine on top of your existing machine, but a container is just a sandbox. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely, yes. And moreover,
Yeah,
that the storage is attached mounted very perfectly, such that we can push and pop the data very easily. It's not dedicated likewise. It's very comfortable to work with storage. Even though the container is down, the storage the mount points are there.
yeah, I think Paul has pointed out that's a good question, the sandboxes. So now the ease of sandboxes than the virtualization is very interoperable, meaning we can what we call we can share the resource from one container to another container and then one container to another container. This is how the resource has been shared. Uh, I so for example, but take an example of this WordPress. So there are six containers of this WordPress site is WordPress application is built. So I need to so there's an API need to call between this container. So than the virtual boxes, this is very easy to interoperate between this. So I think interoperability is plays a good role here, right? What do you think? What do you think, Satish? Me, the fall.
Yeah, yeah. To just adding to your points, it also enabled like the containerization enabled us to easily detach. Like it can work in different circumstances. Like let's say you can have different layers uh, and you can easily scale these containers to a lot of large extents, like in terms of scalability or also uh, in terms of scalability and also adding memories, attaching memories, and all these things are very easy inside containers. Like you don't need to worry about uh, let's say in a typical monolithic development environment. I need to worry about the MySQL or whatever the SQL instances I'm using, or the database layers or the application layers, how they are managing. If anything goes down, I need to cross check and everything. So in the containerization, it is very easy to handle, and you just need to attach and detach a container, and it's highly scalable in terms of ops operations also.
Yeah, Paul, go ahead.
I don't want to dominate, but going back to my point about sandboxes, I just want to say containerization. I think thinking that containerization is actually more secure because you don't have an entire operating system running. You just have the application running on top of the host, so you don't have to worry about you don't have to worry about an attack on a virtual system. Then it will just replicate on your host. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you were right, Paul. You're right. Yes, that's exactly, the securing this web application has changed very big landscape using this container. As a someone, I think there are a couple of questions. I think through between the discussion, maybe we can look at some questions as well, or maybe we'll answer one by one at the end. Uh, some maybe we'll continue the discussion. We'll answer some point of time. And and coming to this containers, so this has been leveraged to concept is orchestrate. So I need to manage all these set of containers, thousands and thousands or hundreds and hundreds of containers. Uh, this is where this Kubernetes comes in, right? So maintaining a cluster, deploying applications through the cluster, scaling, load balancing load balancing services that I'm using inside the cluster. This is where this comes in, right? So what do you think? What do you think this Kubernetes can, how it is transforming in the industries?
Yeah, when more than one container is needs to be maintained, and we can manage with at most 10 containers with them. But when it goes to production, like we need to maintain around 1,000 to 10,000 such containers, it would not be possible to manually maintain those containers. In such a situation, Kubernetes comes in. So we can call Kubernetes as an container orchestration tool. We can manage more than like 1,000 containers at once, and also automate the process of scaling. I mean, if there is a high traffic, we can scale up or scale down based on our requirements. And apart from this, using Kubernetes, we can also maintain the health of a system. Like if the CPU usage is going beyond limit, we can improve. I mean, we can scale up and scale down as per our requirement. And if there is a misconfiguration or the system crashes, using the YAML file, we can restart the container or rebuild the container from scratch without any interruption to the service overall. So this gives a very great advantage to web services.
I think Satish made a good point. Just want to just make a point, and those other type of speakers can also join in. So Satish made a good point on this monitoring and tracing. Uh, but before that, just want to make a point here is Debian as a growing piece of a community, huge community, has a very key role in maintaining these containers and providing flexibility through these containers using this Kubernetes. So throughout the world, around the world, people like packaging stuff, the Debian, improving the Debian, and see every take an example of every container, take an example of a web service, take an example of every cloud provider or what are the web service that we can spin up. This has been with the pointed to this Debian, right? So this is how um, the has been developed with this cloud native. Debian is that's why plays a key role in this the cloud native application development. And to get back to the Satish point on this monitoring and tracing, it's a very important part while we maintain this web services. So, for example, Grafana is a good tool we can use to monitor for log tracing. The tools like etcd using this Kubernetes clusters that we can use. So anyone wants to pitch anything? So Paul was saying that as a sandboxed web server. Okay. So take an example of, we'll come and talking this later. Maybe take an example of GitLab. Uh, this is this can leverage this problem of the sandbox. Now much of the local what we call local development has gone to this cloud development, which is comes with the Gitpod. So this is a great tool. Where Gitpod is a great tool. You don't have to set up all the project you want to contribute in your local system. Within the cloud system, you can set up the project there. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
I think this interesting part that comes here when we talk about GitLab is, I mean, we all having this project management on the Debian using Salsa. So the one interesting part, as a packager, the one interesting part that what attention is CI. CI. Uh, GitLab has grown to a stage where the automation has taken place such a way that all these software production, what we call the paradigm is shaping in such a way that this GitLab automation is helping to build, let's say, APKs, with the Android projects, or maybe recently Debian developer has made available to this feature. Maybe in the next coming few releases, there is an availability for .deb file. For every project in GitLab, we have .deb file installed. Uh, yeah, any comments and any
mm,
thoughts on this?
yeah.
Interesting
So,
point you were mentioning
sorry.
about Gitpod. Um, so how many of you tried Gitpod? I recently tried Gitpod. I'm using Gitpod from last 1 year. Recently, I'm also trying to use Gitpod for local setups. There are some issues setting up, but anyone if you tried Gitpod for local setup, yeah, of course it's a cloud IDE, but even there are some use cases where we have to set the local environment. Anyone have tried Gitpod for in localhost?
No, not yet. Maybe it's a
Is it?
good, interesting point to try this out.
Yeah, it would be a good point to start on, like for the local setups
Yeah.
also.
Even I recently got access to the proprietary GitHub's code spaces. But when it comes to GitHub, I think they did a good job. In terms of user experience, opening code space just needs a single press on keyboard. You have to press dot, so it will redirect you to GitHub.dev. Uh, I seriously wish GitLab team to implement something similar with Gitpod, because GitLab and Gitpod both being free softwares. I think they already collaborated, but there should be even more better integration of these tools. Maybe some of us can also pitch in and help them integrate them.
Yeah, as Ranjit pointed out, that someone GitLab core team has looked at this Gitpod and maybe provide the good integration into the users that they are using. That's a good point. Maybe uh, someone from us, so we can involve other teams to work on that. And that's a good one takeaway from all the discussion. But there are many takeaways we're going to. We have like 15 minutes left, and yeah, what's the comments now? What's other comments on this? And yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just to add on for your point regarding the Salsa Debian. So it was a great tool when we have been trying to package a project. So we know how tedious job it was while packaging uh, manually and sending it for reviews and all those things. And Salsa CI made it a very uh, very easy for us to package any sort of package. It can be Node, or it can be PHP or any other thing. Even if you look into the internal CI components of that, it's still we can see the containerization aspects over there, because they are using the same containerization scripts. Let's say if they whatever we are doing on our local systems, it's just all those things are happening on a remote container. So it is making it is making more life easier, and we are just using a lot of components over there. So it was a great initiative, great step which have been taken. So we are also trying to do such kind of CIs in our organization too. So that's also happening going forward.
Sorry, I'm getting back to the previous recently passed discussion. So when it comes to virtual desktops, the enterprise market has huge usage to virtual desktop, but I see that I expect there will be a decrease in virtual desktops because as the popularity of cloud IDs grow, we need not to spin up a complete desktop. I don't think there's a need. So majority of your work will be done in your cloud IDE, like Gitpod
Uh,
or the proprietary versions. What do you think? Do you also see the same trend?
Yeah, I think Paul wants to speak first. Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
what about virtual desktops? You don't think something about that was actually my question. So what about virtual desktops? I was just wondering what you were saying again. Just clarification.
No, I was wondering the demand for virtual desktop will go down as there's a new trend of with growth of ephemeral cloud IDs like Gitpod.
Yeah, I
So
think
yeah.
it it could virtual desktop could go down because it's more like cloud tools. So maybe maybe virtual desktop will go on. I don't know. I have no idea. We'll just see what happens. You know.
Yeah, but we need to look at it more on this virtual cloud IDs. And I'm really following this cluster orchestration, OpenShift. Any ideas on that? I think there's a good progress in the Debian right now. I've been looking at their discussion with IRC. Um, we should also focus on this cloud environments when we deal with OpenShift. I haven't worked on this OpenShift yet to work on this. Maybe if someone talk about this, that would be good. And
Do OpenShift have a Debian package?
uh, I don't think so. We're still in the test unstable or maybe packaging stage.
Yeah, I don't think it has a Debian package yet.
Yeah, there's no complete package yet. There's something called this image builder, uh, which builds a container images using this clusters and all. So we have to test it. I haven't worked on that. And I think it's 44. Uh, someone, I think maybe we can look at the questions for 1 minute. Someone asked this
I
one.
think Bhavbhuti
Oh,
wants to speak.
yeah, go ahead, Paul. Sorry.
You're not audible, Bhavbhuti.
Yeah.
Am I now? Okay, good. Yeah. So, pardon me for getting back to the previous discussion where Ranjit has mentioned the potential fall of VDIs. So I have a experience, like I'm right now using VDIs for our corporate development, application development, but it's kind of tedious to the sheer computation required to run the VDI, and on top of it to run the IDE, and on top of it to post, run locally an application, is something that we face every day. Like every day there's complaints on the VDI is getting slowed down, or there's no enough resource for the VDI to perform all the tasks. Especially especially with the proprietary applications like Skype. The corporate has been using Skype for a long time, and this is something around a month ago. Now, uh, you know, kudos to, it's not kudos actually, it's like thanks to Microsoft, they're trying to kill Skype, for the advantage of Teams. So, while our experience of Skype is like, if you open Skype, the node is not going to run. So, like, typically, I'm a front-end developer, so whenever I try to run an application in my local, it's like it's not responding. The VDI itself is not responding. So that's the kind of experience I have with VDIs. And when I opened Gitpod for the first time, I was like amazed. Like you can get an online IDE, especially with the extensions that you can configure what kind of IDE loads up. Like I've seen Theia. Theia is the core component of what Gitpod is hosting. So Theia. Uh, the kind of modularity that it brings is like amazing. Like I was surprised, and I really like the potential. So I kind of understand when Ranjit says that the demand for VDIs might go down, because they are so tedious and resource hungry, I would say. So that's my experience with Gitpod and also VDIs. So I think that's when I understood the difference between virtualization and containerization. Literally, like I've seen it in person. Like when I saw the VDI being resource hungry, and when I see Gitpod, which is like loading up in a couple of seconds all the code that the code base that is required, I really liked the idea of those disposable containers. So whenever a user wants to edit a code, there's a container that's spinned up, like a container is spawned, and they'll be able to edit the code in that environment. So that is something I really liked. But again, like Paul mentioned, that sandboxed web server might be a security issue. Like I have similar doubts. Like for example, someone gains access to a container, aren't the other containers vulnerable in the same server, hosted in the same server? Is something even I have doubts. I'm still searching for it, but this is something. This is my personal experience with Gitpod. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a couple of questions from the IRC channel. The first one is containerization is either reusability or duplication. The first thing, and the second one is situation of Docker package in Debian. Yeah.
Who wants to answer that?
I'll just give a heads up of the first part. Containerization, I consider this as a reusable thing. It can be duplicated. In my daily life, I use multiple SQL Docker files and all. I duplicate them and I start working with it. If there's no need of customization in the script in the Docker file, I just run it right away, and I start reusing the same Docker file. For example, I need to add some bash scripts in it, or some slight changes in it. I'll just try to reuse it and start working on it. That's my experience with Docker reusability. Anyone want to comment on that part?
Yeah, you're true, right? We clone the image, we pull the image, and we reuse it.
I think the
I
duplication
think the
over
question
here
is little
is
misunderstood.
little
I think
misunderstood.
both the first part of the question is the same thing: reusability or duplication. When you're duplicating, you're reusing the old stuff,
Using
right?
the,
So it's
yeah,
the
so
same
it
word,
should
different
exactly.
thing. So I
Either
think
reusable or not reusable. It could be a apt question. Yeah. So reusability or duplication both comes under the same point. So uh,
Yeah,
we are just reusing that image, or we are just duplicating that image and reusing it. It can be
yeah,
said same.
yeah.
I
Paul
think
wants to speak, and can we
Yeah.
say duplication is a subset of reusability?
it's not a no things to like comparison. We usually clone something to reuse it, right?
Fine.
Paul wants to speak.
Yeah.
So, what were we talking about before? What were you saying? Sorry, I lost track.
I think we were just looking at the questions that we got in the pad, and there's one question is container runtime interfaces and container orchestration systems. I think we've come across this. Maybe just give a, anyone wants to give it just a single point on this?
That was actually my question.
Acha,
So
okay.
I
Is
was
it clear?
asking if I want to answer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, is it cleared or Sue wants an answer for that? You are on mute, Paul.
Were you talking to me? Because
Is that question clear, or just you want to answer that? You want us to answer that question?
the question is clear. Yes, it is.
Gotcha. Good, nice. And then the other question is situation of Docker package in Debian. Uh, um, yes, there's a Docker package in Debian. So usually they maintain these two versions, Community Edition and other one is Docker.io. So I think yes, the answer is yes. There is a package available in the I think Stretch Bullseye is available. Um, yeah, it's available.
Yeah, there is active
Current,
contribution going
current
for that too.
and
I find no issues working with Docker package in Debian. Um, yeah,
okay.
yeah,
So, Sahil, we got time left. We got any time left? 2 minutes. 2 minutes more. I think I'm just looking at the pad. There are no other questions. Um, yeah, I mean, Sahil, Sathish is a good point. Of course, every platform, the cloud platform that we see in the web today, most of this Debian spinned up environment. No, that's how people are evolving around the globe in this community. Uh, yeah, so before we know all this going, before I just want to give a closing statement to the panel today. And uh, we came across, so we started with this virtualization and containerization, and then this orchestration of these containers, and then this Debian role in this, the whole this cloud native landscape. And then we discussed about the Kubernetes, and then the Atom, this DevOps, and this GitLab. Also, this also CI. Some very good points here. And then we discussed about this OpenShift packaging in the Debian as well. So it's a very good, I would say it's a very interesting panel discussion that we have done. Thanks for joining us, Paul. Uh, so thanks everyone joining for the discussion. Anyone wants to just give a note, you can go ahead.
Yeah, just to add a point, like it's a very good discussion that happened, and yeah, and containerization, yeah, that is a going trend that is in the current industry. So yeah, that's my point.
yeah. Containerization definitely helped us to cut down the infrastructure cost, and IaaS is more scalable now to containerization and stuff. That point I can close off. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks all.
Thanks, all
Thank you.
Debianites joining us today.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Sahil.